Yeah, and also from the statistics given by the UNHCR about the numbers of refugees, they said 77% are women and children, meaning the rate of procreation is on a high. So are there like medical services or facilities that they can access easily? Another thing, do these refugees have insurance cover, or it's a different matter totally?
Yeah, very good question. I think when it comes to services, access to service, that's why we keep on saying that refugees should also be treated like any other human being, any other Kenyan, that accessing the medical care, it is one of their fundamental right to any human being. Mm-hmm. But at times they access, and it gets to a point whereby you cannot get further medical assistance simply because you don't have money, or you don't have the right documentation to some institution. I don't know if it's negligence or what. They do not want to recognize the document that you have, be it, let's say, maybe a mandate. Some of them who are used to mandate at that time, they will ask you produce a mandate. Some of them who are used to alien card, because refugees were given several documents that each today you will tell they have maybe different type of document, including the proof of registration, refugee certificate, alien card. Then now we have the refugee ID card. So it brings also a lot of confusion, whereby they need to come up with one document that will be familiar, and maybe the stakeholders also to be sensitized on the types of document. I know it has happened in the previous, but now things keeps on changing. Now we are moving from analog to digital, whereby sometimes this ID card are not integrated into the Kenyan database, whereby it becomes a bit hard for some of the refugees to access some of the services which are very crucial and essential to them, including when you talk of the medical shame, is it NHIF?
Yeah,
so it becomes a bit hard. There are some who've been provided some medical cover through the NHIF system by UNHCR, and others who do not have. What do? There's a few percentage who have access to NHIF card, paying on their own, and very many of them who do not have, and who do not even know what an NHIF is. So it becomes a little bit tricky. So in the camp, yes, they have some medical facility, but we believe, yes, it is not sufficient. Mm-hmm. That they need also to go maybe for further checkups, further medical attention, but accessibility. That's when we say, when it comes to access of free movement, there is no that access of free movement. It is a process before you are given maybe a movement pass for you to leave the camp to Nairobi. You must have a good reason. Maybe if it's on medical, you approach the RAS offices in the camp with a medical proof or a letter from the doctor confirming that you are going to Nairobi for medical process, so that they can also process. Yeah.
Now that we're talking about accessibility, and we are a legal institution too, so how sufficient or how easy can the refugees access justice? Because I also believe they have also been affected by the COVID-19, just like every other Kenyans. And you realize when there was curfews and cessation to movement, most people were supposed to stay at home, and cases of gender-based violence, they became so many, rape and all these forms of abuse. So did some of the refugees undergo this? And if they did, how quick were they able to access justice and report such cases?
Well, it depends with the locations where these refugees are, mm-hmm. especially those in urban. Many of them, they faced these challenges, but they were nowhere to report, because where they know they could get justice, maybe through some of the legal institutes that they work in collaboration with the UNHCR or the legal partner, such as RCK and Kituo cha Sheria. But some of those institutions were closed. Many of the services offered to refugees by these NGOs, they had closed their doors during the COVID period. So it was only left to some of the RLOs, which we refer to as the refugee-led initiatives, that were cushioning their own people, addressing some of these issues through maybe the local authorities. But again, as we say, refugees, we might be called vulnerables, but we are not vulnerables. It is the situation that we live in that makes us look vulnerable. So therefore, sometimes you might report a case to the police, but because of your status, it is not given that much weight.
Yeah.
And becomes a little bit difficult. And you know, we are in Kenya and we understand you have sometimes to be asked to pay kidogo. Sometimes you might get, not everyone is bad. We have very good police officers who will even lead you to access justice. So it is there. It is a 50-50. Yeah.
Yeah, and as we wind up, because I'm seeing we are a minute past time, but it's still okay. Yeah, I wanted to ask you, when we started, we talked about the stateless people. So are they given the same identification card as similar to the refugees, or what happens to them? Because there are quite a number in Kenya too.
Yeah, as I said much earlier, yes, they are considered also as part of the refugees, because refugee is not a nationality.
Yeah.
Refugee is just a status. And on the card, it is written your nationality. Even on the travel document, it is written your nationality, not as a refugee. Refugee is just a temporary status.
Okay.
But you have a nationality, you belong to a certain country. And for those whom becomes difficult for them to identify themselves as people from a particular nation, that's where UNHCR and other civil society should come in. But they are also given identification by the UNHCR and RAS. Do not discriminate them, RAS. They give them documentation. But it becomes a little bit difficult for them to be referred as people of this country. So that's the challenge between the other refugees and the stateless people. Yeah.
Okay, so any parting shots?
Yieng, go ahead.
It is the same as he explained it.
Okay.
Because it is just a name, but that person does not know his father or mother. Only that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
But he don't know where to go. Yes.
Thank you. Jean Paul?
Yeah, people are living in a state of limbo and should be allowed to freely move within the country and also in the region, so that, because free mobility opens up a lot, including livelihood of refugees, including job opportunity or decent job opportunities, can also open an opportunity for good education to refugees. Let's say, for instance, you get an opportunity, you have the ability and you have maybe the capacity to work perhaps in Uganda or do the business. Refugees can also trade. They would like also to travel and get the goods from outside and sell to Kenyans. So they should be allowed that free mobility, be it in the camp, provided you have that identification document that identifies you. You should not be restricted to a certain particular place. Rather, you should be allowed to move, and there should be no fear when it comes to, we know, yes, security is of paramount to the nation, but they are monitored the way Kenyans also are monitored. If someone has committed any crime, should be subjected to the law like any other individuals, as per the law says. So I think it would be a good opportunity to see Kenya opening up for refugees, because they've been very receptive for all these years. Then what has it made them difficult to allow refugees to work, allow refugees to access good education? Today, if you go, surprisingly, you go into higher learnings, refugees are paying higher fee than the locals. Why? Because they are also categorized under the foreign policy. The way foreigners pay, that's how the refugees will also pay.
Yes.
So, which should not be. And refugees are part of the resident.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they are here not by mistake. They are here for a purpose. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I thank you. This discussion has been very enlightening, very informative, and I will be definitely welcoming you back here so we can learn more, because this is a public platform where people get to be sensitized. So I know 1 or 2 or 3 or maybe 10, if they have gotten the information about the refugees, then they can share, and that is how we do, like, it's just like a civic education. Now, I'm sure the general public is a bit sensitized, and you have to come back more and more until we get to a place that we learn to live with the refugees as Kenyans, because they are part of us and we should accept them as human beings, and their rights also should be upheld. Thank you so much, and remember, Salama Bakita and me will be joining you in the evening from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. So continue streaming hakifm.or.ke. My visitors were from Relon-Kenya. So if you want to know more about them, you can check their website. But they are here. They can give us their contacts. Yeah. So Jean-Paul, tell us where we can find you other than Relon-Kenya. Maybe your contacts, your networking sites. Yeah.
Yeah. So for our contact, you can easily get us. We are www.relon-kenya.or.ke.
Okay.
You will find us at Relon-Kenya on Twitter and Facebook.
Okay.
You will still find us. And
Thank
we are
you
based
so
in
much.
Nasra Garden Estate. Check on our website. You will get to learn more about what we do. And we also encourage that let us come together and take this country to another place. We are also part of you. So let us also celebrate the peace that has been in Kenya. And we really appreciate for the government of Kenya to have hosted us for all these years and continue to host us. Do not get tired. We are part of you, and we are one people. So we urge the Kenyan people to embrace peace during this election period. Let us not be too ambitious when it comes to politics. Please be tolerant to one another.
Thank you, Judy. I really appreciate the way you have been hosted us. My message goes to all refugees who are living in Kenya. If you have a problem, don't fear. Just express yourself where you are, report it to the police, or report it to Kituo cha Sheria or UNHCR hotline. It is 1517 hotline. You call it without paying anything.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for that information. And we appreciate you so much, and we are also acknowledging you as part of us, and we are part of you, and we welcome you back here. For our listener, you have heard the hotline for UNHCR. You have heard where you can find the Relon-Kenya. So for more information about our discussion, iyo yote iko on that website, and it's quite informative, quite engaging. Thank you so much.
This is Haki FM, Oasis of Justice.